Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Garage Tubular Modelers. I'm Dave Forrest, and this is my good friend
Harvey Lowe.
And in today's episode, we're going to continue on the Edward 109K. But before we get to that, and we'll be focusing on doing some decaling.
That's the problem.
Decaling?
Yes.
Got mixed up. I did want to talk about this kit, which is one of the new Takom Tigers, in particular the Autocarius edition, which I picked up at Wheels and Wings, which is one of our local hobby stores here in the greater Toronto area. And these Tigers are fantastic kits. And I know there's a lot of videos and a lot of content out there that talks about them and how good they are. And they are spot on. This is virtually out of the box. So it's a bit of a palette cleanser build. The only thing I added was a resin or a 3D printed muzzle, just because I had them.
Not because you needed to?
No, not really. They give you a metal barrel, so you don't have to. They give you a metal barrel and a plastic one, and you don't really even need the metal barrel. Because it's a single piece.
When did you buy the kit? I was with you. When was that?
It was about 5 weeks ago.
See, and I remember you bought it. You said the same thing, and you're going to build it, and you did. That's like, wow, that's pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, it goes together. I mean, you really need nothing. I mean, the tool clamps are, like, the handles are hollow. I mean, they're a tiny bit thick compared to what you would get 3D printed. But for out of the box, they're pretty good. You get the meshes, you get copper wire or copper cables for the tow cables. Just to take this off here, just to show. So the nice thing is these fenders are one piece, but they're set up in such a way that you can cut them. And so what I did is I just cut them separately, just so I could pose them ever so slightly differently, just to give it a little bit of depth.
Does it come with auto?
It does come with a 35th scale Autocarius figure, which I will attempt to do. Just to put him in. I've left this. I can pull the hatch open. But it's a wonderful kit. It comes with the Lincoln length tracks are fantastic. Although they did fight me on one side, but that's probably user error more than anything else.
Of course.
And then I just put a brass machine gun in the hull. The coaxial one is the
You
kit.
still got the camo to do, right?
Yeah, I still got the green camo. So I'm doing a summer version.
Nice.
The problem though. So I started with the intent to do this out of the box. And then I did some research. So I went to tiger1.info, which is a great reference page. So it gives you, I forget the gentleman who runs the site, but he gives a breakdown of all of the Tiger kits and all of the corrections you need to do.
Oh, okay.
So when I did some research on Autocarius' vehicle, you can kind of go down a bit of a rabbit hole.
Really?
Yeah, because there's pictures of it, and there's Zimmer missing and whatnot, and I said, okay, I'm not going to, this is just a bit of a palette cleanser. So even the numbers, like the red 217, that's in question because there's pictures and you can't really see a number on it, but it might have been painted afterwards, and the picture's just a point in time. So all I have to say is you can get caught up in the reference in the history of a particular vehicle. But I decided not to fall into that trap this time around. So I think there's enough historical plausible deniability to get it to a point where it's reasonably accurate.
I was at a hobby I was at a hobby store the other day with the wife, kind of mulling about, and we're talking to the owner, and I asked him, what's your best seller? And he said, by far, the Gundam.
Yeah.
Now, this is my own theory, but he said that there's been a drop in military subjects being sold. And we were thinking, well, why is that? And when I was in Japan, I was in Odaiba, where the headquarters is for Gundam and Bandai. And I think a lot of the creativity for that type of model is full creativity. In other words, you don't have to worry about, that bolt and rivet.
No, yeah.
And so if you're doing this, I personally think it's a hobby. In the end of the day, when you do that, if you told me that you'd corrected, I honestly wouldn't tell. Now, it's important for you, but how far do you want to go down there? Because then you may never get...
Oh, yeah. It's paralysis by analysis. Right?
Oh, totally paralysis. Right? Yes.
So I did enough to make it accurate. Like I left some of the front road wheel off.
Yeah, I did one like that too.
There's a picture of this tow clevis here that's just kind of hanging. So I put that on there, even though I already had the other two on the vehicle, but I just added that. But yeah, you're right.
But how do they, like, okay, I'm not questioning...
It's a picture.
Right? I'm not questioning people's research on the internet. However, if I may, there was two situations where I was building a model, and both the modeling community in both cases said, well, no, they never did that. One was when I built General Romer's Mustang. I went on the online...
Well, they never got that dirty.
They never got that dirty, and they didn't have D-Day stripes on the full wings in his squadron. But then when I talked to the general, and his memory is very good, and what I did was I asked him 2 or 3 times on separate occasions, and on each occasion he said, no, mine had them on top, because his aircraft was never photographed. So that's, a situation where, do you really know until you talk to somebody who was actually there?
I agree. How do you know for sure?
And the other one is to do with a tiger. Just briefly, one of our former club members, Fred Hawkins, rest in peace, he was a longtime member here in the Toronto hobby scene. He was ex Air Force. And that famous picture of Fairman's tiger, where there's a guy on the right carrying a dog, that was Fred.
Yeah.
And at the time, somebody on the web had said, these were the definitive colors of that Fairman tiger. And I remember Fred telling me his photograph was hijacked and it was copyrighted, and he's still alive. And he goes, well, that's my photo. And it wasn't that good. It was all overall dark.
That shut him up.
Yeah, everything shut down. Now, that was quite a while ago. But he said, no, it was, and if you look at the photo, he's right, but he's the guy in the photo. And somebody had actually taken it. Nope, that's my photo. That was Fred who took that photo.
Which goes to show you.
Goes to show you. Be very careful.
You can't.
No.
And to be honest, okay, let's go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
To be honest, those that really are hardcore rivet counters, chances are the high percentage of them do not build.
Yeah, right. That's their hobby.
That's their thing. And so. Yeah. So they have. I mean, hey, all due respect, they do have a use, right? Because they do. They provide that historical context and whatnot. But
goes overboard. I think
it does, and sometimes like things happen in the field.
They do.
Like especially later in the war when the situation was a little bit dire for the German forces, the Wehrmacht, and things were going to happen, right? They were going to do field mods, and a picture is a point in time. So maybe when they took the picture of this vehicle and there was no number on it, maybe they painted a number like later, days later, a week. Who knows? Right? Who knows? For sure. But it does point you in the right direction, and I think you can use that to kind of at least guide the build to be a more, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
If that's your thing.
But I find a pattern though is some of those individuals will make comments about the accuracy of a kit, but will never comment at all about, hey, you did a nice build. They will just say, well, that's wrong. That's their
thing.
That's their thing. But they don't have enough courtesy to say, hey, well, that's really nice, and they'll just keep going about that rivet was off.
Yeah, but that's. Okay, but it takes all kinds to make the world turn, right?
Yeah.
So,
but in the end, that's going to sit in your case. Yeah. It's going to be the only one to see it is anybody that comes to you.
Yeah, and you have to, like, why are you building this? Are you building it just for you? Or are you building for a show? And you need to have that historical accuracy. And some subjects garner more attention than others. And the tiger,
these two,
right? Exactly. So. Yeah, well done, Dave. I certainly need to pick subjects that
go into the hardcore subjects. Yes. You got to be a guy like me that builds esoteric Italian, Japanese, and weird stuff that nobody knows about. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and then the next thing I'll get into. I'm kind of into U-boats, right?
Yeah, we're going to do some U-boat stuff.
Yeah, and that's another area that a lot of people have very strong opinions on. So, but it's fun. It's a hobby. It is. I enjoy, and I really enjoyed doing the build. And it wasn't hard at all. But anyway, so they're great. All of that say is that the new Takom Tigers are great kits, very accurate build right out of the box. Really don't need anything. I compared this to my Tiger 1 early build that I did,
Right.
the old Tamiya kit,
Yeah.
and all of the aftermarket I put on it
Yeah.
to get that to look a little bit more accurate and
So we're
realistic.
going to do another episode when you finish it?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, well, maybe I'll do like how I paint tools because I do everything. Everything, as you can see, everything's in situ, right? So
Even your row wheels and your track.
Everything.
I don't.
yeah,
I
but you
can-
don't see it. Like
Yeah.
if you can't see it, or you can't see it because you can't paint it, you're not gonna see it after the fact. And there's gonna be a lot of mud on this as well, so that'll cover up and that'll be easy. So maybe this will probably be the subject of a future video in the not too distant future. But today's video is really focused on the 109K and in particular the Eduard decals or decals. And what we're going to do today, so today will be kind of a short video, but what we're going to do today is focus on the upper wing. So these are all, with the exception of the swastika here.
Can't say that.
Well, you can't say that.
I'm just kidding.
Swastika. This little funny
Facebook
thing.
will- yeah,
This little
Facebook
funny
will
thing
cut
here.
us off, put us in prison.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we're not in Europe, so it's
Yeah.
not as strict here yet. Anyway, but everything is from the Eduard set of decals, which are nice. And I know we've talked about this, and I was kind of hedging a little bit, but they are nice. And I have so I did do the peel. So I put them on, and then you peel them off. You let them sit for about a day, and you peel them off after. And it so far it's worked. Now, I did do so this little insignia thing here. This whatever it's called. I guess the pilot's insignia or girlfriend or whatever. So that's kind of fine. So I just left it on.
So it's still there.
So it's still there. I'm not going to peel it off. I'm just going to do the old. I'm going to gloss
you don't
over
want to
it.
take a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But on the bigger stuff, it seems to work fairly well. Now, on my I was doing a Falkwolf, an A7 before, and you were with me when I was putting the Eduard decal, and it just crumpled.
That's at his house doing it.
It just crumpled, and I had
Swearing?
Yeah, it was horrible. But I tried it again, and I think what I didn't do properly is when you put them on, and I'll show you. I'll put the other side on so that
risky.
you can see it. But what you got to do is you got to really flood the area with water and salt acid solution, and then or microsalt solution, and then slide this thing on like very, very carefully, and then you can position. You get a little bit of play time, but you do have to. You do have to move a little bit quickly, particularly for these type because the crosses are thinner, so there's not a lot of pigment or ink or actual decal itself to bond with the surface. So it'll be interesting to see what it's like pulling off the film on this, which we will do very shortly. And then once I do that, then I'll go on and I'll show you how to put them on, because you really gotta get them down and create good contact and kind of roll a Q-tip over them. But we'll get to that shortly. So so we'll just set up. I'll get all my stuff, and then we'll get right to it. Okay, so we're going to attempt to peel the carrier film off. I think this is a good use case for peeling it off, because there's way more carrier film than there is actual decal or.
So you have to, in this case, you can't leave it on.
Well, you could.
Yeah.
You could, and it does. It does. They do a nice job of settling down, and maybe if you're not going to peel it off, because they are fairly generous with the carrier film, so they're not as tight as like a card graph would be, for example. And this is for. Oh, thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
So kids, this is on live TV.
Yeah, so there might be a lot of.
Don't do this at home
There might be a lot of cursing and swearing.
without supervision.
If I can't. So what you do is you kind of just tilt it and just use the light to get a reflection off it, so you can see where the edge of the carrier film is.
Is there a reason why you're using these types of tweezers, or could you
they're
not?
sharp.
Could you use a number 11 X-Acto?
You could.
I don't always see the risk of you doing that. You'd scratch the surface.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, right? Is you do so you want something that's sharp but not too sharp, and I just found they're sharp enough to kind of get under. So the nice thing you can do is you can try and find a panel line and just kind of work your way down the panel line.
I don't know. That makes me nervous personally. I've never done these. Not to say that they're not good, but I'm old-fashioned.
Yeah, and then once you get them to lift off, there we go. I think we got
You
some.
mentioned earlier that you soaked it with Solvacet. I think Solvacet must be one of the model products that
Sorry.
has been around a long
Not
time.
Solvacet. I missed Microset.
Oh, okay.
So I never use, for these things, never use anything more powerful than
Got
this.
it.
These are the things. Yeah, so my bad. I
But
misspoke.
even these, like I find these decal solutions, they've been around a long time. Over,
Yes.
over the years, and
Yeah.
I've proven them to work. Same with Solvacet. I remember they were around in the 70s.
So I'm just going to work here.
What we do with models.
Now the other option you have is you can go at it with odorless thinner.
Really?
Yeah,
Odorless thinner.
odorless thinner, because that'll dissolve the film, but it won't attack the underlying.
As long as you not paint your model in enamels.
Yeah, with gloss coat.
And then, right, an acrylic barrier coat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not enamel, anyways. I mean,
Right. Otherwise, it'd lift everything.
So I glossed this with X22. To me, X22 thin with Mr. Leveling thinner.
Nice. Yeah, I was asking you about that. That's a very nice gloss finish.
There we go.
Oh, did you get it?
And it's starting to come off. So let's see. So once it starts to come off, it starts to come off.
If anybody has
So you can see.
comments on how they do it, put it in the comments section. But let me see.
See? Oh, that's right.
Oh, it's coming out in chunks?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just the whole thing would lift off.
Well, it kind of does. Like once you get
Oh.
under it, see, there you go. Now it's starting to come off.
God, okay, whatever.
And then you can get under it. There we go. So you just peel. See a big section.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah. Huh.
So it's one of those things that, like I kind of practice this on, like the Falkwolf is a bit of a test.
Hmm.
Just for a number of reasons, to get back into, the intricacies of doing the Luftwaffe subject. There we go.
Quite an attractive scheme, though, I must say.
Yeah, it's nice, especially the late war stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
The late war and the defense of the Reich, and like the.
Yeah, I can see it now. It's coming all off now?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Now, there's always going to be little bits left, but that's where the odorless thinner will come in.
Could you use, like, tape to stick and pull it off, or would that be risky?
Maybe. I have found that the underlying decal sticks very
Sticks
well.
in? Yeah, but that is risky, yeah.
But
you could pull the whole thing off.
Yeah.
Because that's over a gloss surface, too.
It's over a gloss surface.
Hmm.
See? So that comes right off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's a big chunk.
It's a big chunk.
Yeah.
And there's just this little bit up here.
Yeah.
So you just got to work at it. It just take like anything. It just takes practice, and then once you figure out the nuances of it, then you're good to go.
What are these decal, like, do they have a name? Like a special name?
Edward? No.
That's it? They just, like, they don't give it a special lift-off decal. I've never used them. All my years of modeling, I've never used them.
Well, they aren't for the faint of heart.
Yeah, and
you can just leave them, right? Like they're just you might want to, like I said before, you might want to trim around a bit.
Edward's the only company that does that, right?
Correct. So what I might do here is I might just go at this. So what I like to do, so most of it, 95% of it's off. So what I might want to do here
Interesting.
is just take a little bit
Very interesting.
of. I got different types of Q-tips here. Maybe, actually, let's do this one. So these are just your run-of-the-mill Q-tip. So you just need a bit. So I won't flood it. I'll take a little bit of it off and then
Just rub it in there.
rub it in there, and then it should.
By the way, a side note, which I learned from our fellow modeler John Wong here in Toronto, he told me that if you have Q-tips and you have older ones that are made out of what appear to be plastic, don't throw them out, because those plastic, the body of the Q-tip, if you use them as stretch sprue, it's very nice. So apparently they're all out of production, but if you've got an old bunch of Q-tips and they're a plastic body, keep them and use them for that. Not the wood ones, not the more modern. I think they're made out of paper or something. So
Now here's the challenge, right? So here's where I kind of went in with the tweezers to kind of pull, and I might have damaged some of the paint.
I told you, I knew it. Might as well cut the camera. I knew it.
So everything else came off nice, but where I started in, I've actually removed some of the paint, which is surprising because there is a gloss coat on here, and the gloss coat is fairly thick. So
see that for me, I don't know. Yes, it takes practice, and your model looks beautiful. But if you go into you're a serious competitor at the Nationals, and they see that, I'm sorry, they go, "Oh, it's out." Right? It is.
yeah,
It's risky.
it is risky.
So that's why I got some issues with some of the judging, the way they judge fit and finish. We'll have that as another episode.
Well, I don't think that's. I mean, I think that's more an indictment on the decal type itself as it is.
Yeah, but they will ding you if they see
Oh, yeah.
a tiny little thing like
But that's where you have to go in and fix it.
Yeah, you do.
So I'll just mask this off and just go in and spray it. But there's a bit of a chip here.
Yeah, barely.
So again, you'll have to, I don't know. Maybe this is more hassle than it's worth.
No, I don't know. But the ones in the
Like if I was, if I was to enter one of the Nats,
yeah.
I don't think I'd be doing this.
Yes, there you go. Right. There you go. What I said. I don't know. Was your fuselage one similar? Like the same type of lift-off film?
Not bad. Yeah, same time, but they didn't.
Now, if you do something simple like Japanese, it's just mask it and spray on the Hinamaru. You don't have to worry about it. You have the new Eduard Zeros. Do you know if the decals for the
anything after 2021 I think has new decals.
Okay.
Now when they work, it looks beautiful. So this is it's a minor thing. So I'll just go and I'll just mask this off and spray and fix that up. So I mean, a bit of a hassle, but not the end of the world. Just gonna get it. There we go. So that's easy.
That's easy.
Done. And then you got to line it up.
Of course.
So the nice thing about this is that this side of the cross goes right up against this panel line. And then it's just a matter of...
That's pretty easy.
Yeah, that's pretty
good. You don't have to worry about bubbles?
Yeah, you do. You got to make sure everything's out. So we'll just let it move around a bit. So the trick is flooding the area so that there's water and setting solution on the model so that it slides off easily. I think the first time I did it, I didn't do a good enough job of that, and that's why it kind of crumpled on me. So this is where I think that looks good. So you just play with it until it, just kind of adjust it a little bit here and there. I think that looks good. More or less. And then I like to, even though you're trying to remove liquid, I like to use a moist Q-tip. So I just wet it and I just get rid of most of the liquid on the paper towel. And then we can start to gently pull stuff away. Now at this point...
I can see it. I can see it.
Right. Now at this point the decal's still going to move around, but that's okay. You can just
readjust it. I can see you pushing it and there's stuff coming out underneath, right?
Yeah. We'll just come load.
Attractive aircraft, I must say.
Yeah, you gotta love that.
Yeah, you do.
When I was kind of in my teens, and even my 20s and 30s, like doing a Luftwaffe camo was very intimidating.
I've never done a serious Luftwaffe. I got to do one. I really do.
So now that you've gotten to a point, or I've gotten to a point where you can actually kind of come close to pulling something off. It's kind of neat. So now you're just dabbing, just to help speed the process along. So the secret to these things is really just making sure that so it kind of spills over a little bit onto this panel line here, but it lines up against this. So that's a nice kind of way of calibrating where you're at, which is the same thing on the other side.
So it's aligned?
So it's aligned, so we're just going to let it, kind of let Mother Nature do its thing. I'm just going to gently, so you got to be gentle, right, with these things. Just to push. And then once it's kind of set a little bit, and by that I mean where it's at a point where it's like just touching it doesn't move it around, then we'll get kind of more aggressive with rolling it down. And the reason for doing that is you want to make sure there's very good adhesion between the white parts and the model itself, because that's where the that's where it sticks and that's where the glue is.
Is there a film between the white parts? Oh, there is not.
No, that's the thing, right? So
Wow.
the carrier film's on top.
Yes, right.
As opposed to the
Yes, wow.
Right.
No wonder, okay. Well, I can see the advantage of that.
And then you just apply gentle pressure and just kind of roll out. And what this is doing is just helping to remove liquid underneath.
And the bubbles.
Right, and you can see how it starts to come out. Right.
Very good. I know a lot of guys would mask those white bars and just airbrush them, but to each his own.
Yeah. So I probably should have done. There you go. So we'll let that sit for a few minutes, and then we'll just continue to just roll that out ever so slightly. That's fine. Okay. And then we'll just gently roll this out. So the advantage of, and it was, so this was the swastika was a two-part, so there was a white and a black.
Okay.
And that was still way easier than doing these.
Is that right? Eh?
Yeah. So
I don't know.
I don't know.
I haven't. I don't know if I jumped to that yet. But.
Yeah. Now the nice thing about doing this, like all the stencils are the same. So the stencils I would not peel.
Oh.
Because they're small.
Okay.
Well, depending, right? Like if it's.
Have you tried?
On the Falkwolf, I didn't. No, I just. I treated them like regular.
So you didn't bother.
I didn't bother. Or I used. No, that's not true. I actually used the thinner to remove it. Right. The problem is sometimes you rub it, you pull up something. So it's just.
Man, no, I don't need any more headache.
So, like I have the Tamiya 109 that I'm doing, the 109G, in Eric Hartman's markings, and I've got Eagle Cal decal, and I'm going to use those. Like I'm not gonna muck around with. So this is kind of just really what you do is you have a video playing in the background, or music or something, or a game, a sporting event. You're just pushing the liquid out. Okay, so we'll let that sit for a few minutes, and then we'll come back. Pressure, surface adhesion, I guess. There we go. So that's on there pretty good. I'm just going to go and just put dabbing pressure on each segment. So as you look at it now, I can tell that the liquid underneath is pretty much gone.
Mm.
So now what we can do is we can go in with a microsol. Now what the microsol will do is it will just kind of help things sink in that much more.
Yeah.
Right? So let's put that on. Now you don't want this stuff to pool. So I'll probably put on a little bit more than I need. So I'm going to take some off. Because I've noticed, even though this is one of the milder ones, if it does pool, it does kind of leave a mark.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why you're kind of diluting it with the water.
Yeah, a bit. Just
And this is probably your most delicate type of decal setting solution.
Yeah.
You wouldn't use Solvaset.
No. No, Solvaset is really more for the...
Yeah.
I think they invented Solvaset for the Hasegawa and the Tamiya.
Yeah, well, hey, like I said earlier, I remember it coming out in the late 70s, so, and I don't know if the formula's changed because it still smells the same.
You sniffing your decal set?
Yeah, I like it. You just smell the Solvaset.
It's really just kind of vinegar, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. I've never, maybe vinegar works too. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. So, and that's really it. And now at this point, you just kind of let this kind of evaporate, and then maybe, when most of the liquid's gone, you kind of go over it again very gently, just rolling a Q-tip over it, just to make sure it's down. And then once that's done, you let it sit for, 24 hours, roughly. I don't know that I'd let it go much past that.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think you run the risk of kind of the film or the carrier film kind of setting. But yeah, that's it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I offer my congratulations or a future honorable mention at the next contest for this model.
Yeah, there are some warts with it for sure, but
I'm just kidding. I mean, kudos to Edward for thinking about these things too, right? I mean, it's a good logic.
Yeah, but it's not. I mean, you'd almost wish, to be honest, you almost wish that the carrier film is thicker. Because that way it'd be easier to peel off. It'd be easier to get to.
Yeah.
Like I scratched. So I did a good job of avoiding damage here, but it did make it. So I still have to go and I have to retouch that up.
Right.
And that's a pain.
And if you use a number 11, that's even that's ultra sharp.
But they do look painted on.
Yeah.
The other option is masks, of course.
Of course.
Which might be, so the next one I do, I might do masks.
Especially on 32nd.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I don't know if Edward does 32nd decals with his film, or is it just 48th?
Well, they've only released 48 scale kits and 72nd scale kits.
Right. I'm sorry, I meant 72nd. I wonder if they do it.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, wow.
Doesn't matter, though.
Oh, okay.
Right, I think. So I think all their newer kits, I think anything from 21 onwards, from like mid-year, like June.
That brings up, I mean, does Edward do any 32nd?
They rebox stuff.
Oh.
Like the Hasegawa P47.
Yes, right.
Rebox that.
Right.
Well, and they did their 109Es.
Yes, right.
They have a range, right?
I wonder.
But those are older. They have the more traditional. Yeah. So I don't know. So what's the verdict? Ask me what the verdict is. I was kind of ambivalent about them going into this. I'm still kind of ambivalent.
I am a part of the IPMS NENI Northeast New York Zoom meetings. They're great, by the way. And I know on one of the calls we were talking about that, and there's some preeminent modelers in that group. And I remember at that meeting, although that was a couple of months ago, Zoom meeting, none of the members there had ever tried it.
No.
So,
no.
Something new for everybody, I suppose.
But the risk side is that you damage the decal, you've got to touch it up.
Yeah.
You damaged your surface, you've got to touch it up, which I did here. But the reward is you have a nice painted on looking.
Especially those.
Yeah.
Especially that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Would I try them again? I might. But am I over the moon, gaga, these are the ways to go, or this is the new wave.
It's work.
I don't know.
It's work.
I'm not. So it's a bit of work, but if you practice enough, like I've gotten better. Like removing it is easier the more you do it. That's for sure, right? So, like anything. But you kind of completely erase the film. So at the end of it, they look painted on. They really do.
Okay.
But could you do the same thing with masks?
I don't know if I'm ready yet.
Yeah. If I was entering this into the nationals, I'm not risking it.
No.
Not at this stage, anyways.
No, we were talking about that.
Right.
And I'm building less for nationals now. I'm building more for
just because there's so much, like maybe for a local show, but for the it's just so it's cutthroat, right?
Yeah.
So the risk reward for that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So a lot of viewers know I'm just saying I build a lot for magazines, and I find that I can start to take a bit of. I'm not building that pristine for.
For magazines, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can hide. You
can.
It's the photograph, right?
It's the photograph. Yeah. But I don't know if I was entering at the Nats. I don't know.
Yeah, but under a spotlight with a bunch of guys looking at
it. Yeah. I don't know.
Agreed. Yeah. But anyway, so that's that. So I'll just all you have to do is let the set roll it down a little bit more, and then you're done. Wait, 18, 24 hours, and then you can start to peel it off.
Yeah, wait for that honorable mention, and there you go.
And away you go.
Yeah.
So that wraps it. I think that'll wrap it up for this week's episode. I think maybe what are we gonna? Maybe the next thing on this will be weathering. So I'll go and I'll finish all the decals off camera, and I'll talk a little bit about that next time we meet, and then we'll do some on camera weathering.
Okay.
So we'll do that. We'll do that next time. So thanks everybody. Take care, and we'll see you next time.